Terry.
Good morning.
First, let me begin by thanking you. You have a very arduous task. The Department of Homeland Security is so critically important to the security of our nation, and I want to thank you for stepping up and doing that. I wanted to talk today a little bit about where the administration has gone in regard to its immigration initiatives, and then I have some questions in that regard. I represent the 3rd District of Tennessee, Chattanooga, Oak Ridge, all the way up to the Kentucky border. Actually, my district borders our full chairman's district. And whether I'm in the schools or the supermarkets and I speak with my constituents are upset. Some are furious, some are saddened by the administration's circumventing Congress and, as they see it and I see it, circumventing the United States Constitution with the executive orders and initiatives. It's particularly bothersome because we have immigration laws in this country, and there are a lot of people who have followed the law and are still following the law to become legal immigrants. And America is a great nation of legal immigrants, including my family. But folks are upset. Folks are upset because they wonder why and how this has come about. And just as you and your department have a difficult job, we in the Congress have a difficult job. The House is elected every 2 years. We stand before the American people. And the Constitution is precious, I think, to the American people. And this has really shaken, I think, the core of our republic to have the administration move ahead with its immigration initiatives. And I think it throws our security into somewhat uncertainty, and it just casts us in a very difficult light. So I want to be able to respond to my constituents, to their concerns. Central to this issue is the operations of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, which bears the responsibility to process benefits that have been unilaterally extended to so many who are here illegally. So I have a few questions in that regard, sir. Exactly how much, on average, will it cost CIS and any other agencies involved to process DACA and DAPA applications and related benefits, sir?
In response to your last question, the DAPA program, had it gone forward on schedule, was intended to pay for itself through fees, application fees. As I'm sure you know, the court in Texas has enjoined that program. That case is on appeal right now. Same thing with the DACA program for kids. Like many activities at USCIS, the program is intended to pay for itself through the collection of fees that are submitted with applications.
And I agree. The court has issued a stay of the President's executive order, but surely there must be a plan in place, or must have been a plan in place to pay for this. Would it be that the fees that legal immigrants, people who are playing by the rules, are paying, would those funds be designated to use to pay for those who are not here legally? Was that the plan?
That would not be the intent. There was and is a well-developed implementation plan that called for the hiring of certain personnel, additional personnel, to administer the DAPA program, the leasing of additional office space, the leasing of additional space for processing applications, and the intent was and is that the program would be paid for through the fees collected in the program. That's the intent.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Secretary, last week, Acting TSA Administrator Carraway testified before us about his support for the public-private partnerships and stakeholder participation in reforming the TSA policies to improve security as well as efficiency. What are you doing throughout DHS, sir, to improve the relationship between industry and your agencies in order to streamline rulemaking and procurement processes, and in the case of acquisitions, to develop and deploy the newest and best technology in a cost-efficient manner?
I can tell you that I spend a tremendous amount of time with industry associations, industry CEOs, aviation CEOs, the CEOs of firms that we do business with. Through our Unity of Effort initiative, we're bringing about greater efficiency and a more mature acquisition process, best practices, best learning from other agencies. Our bureaucracy has only been in existence 12 years. And so I believe we're enhancing and maturing the acquisition process through that larger Unity of Effort initiative. If I may, sir, in response to your initial comment, I think it's important for your constituents and others to understand that what we issued in November, 9 separate executive actions, including efforts to enhance border security. So one of the directives I signed on November 20th was to create the Southern Border Campaign Strategy, to bring about a DHS-wide approach to the security of our southern border. I believe it's operational now. It's up and running. It's operational. And through our investments over the last period of years in border security, I think we've seen some good results. Apprehensions, which are an indicator of total attempts to cross the border, are down, but there's a lot more we need to do. The other thing we did was to prioritize the deportation of people who have been convicted of crimes. And so we want to focus even more sharply our efforts on getting at those who are convicted criminals for the sake of public safety in your district and elsewhere. The Deferred Action Program is an effort to bring those who are not deportation priorities out of the shadows, get them on the books, hold them accountable so that we know who they are, which I believe is important as a matter of law enforcement and public safety.
And yes, sir, Mr. Secretary, while I appreciate your resolve to keeping us safe, and I thank you for that, in that process, my biggest concern and my biggest objection to it is that the administration is doing this by executive order and not through the legislative process. Constitutionally, that offends me, and I think it weakens the fabric of the Republic. So I'm going to applaud you again for trying to keep us safe. I think that is one of our most steadfast duties under the Constitution, whether you're in the House or the White House. Again, my biggest concern and frailty in this is that it was done by the administration through executive order in what I view as an attempt to circumvent Congress. But I do thank you for your efforts, sir. At this time, I would like to recognize my colleague from Texas, Mr. Cuellar.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.